advertising is the where, right? It's media planning and buying. Where am I going to convey? Where do I need to go to inform, to educate, to inspire, to motivate?
Welcome to the Marketing Expedition Podcast, an auditory journey through the latest in marketing, branding, and advertising. Now, here's your Marketing Expedition guide, Ray Allen.
On this episode of the Marketing Expedition Podcast, I get to speak with Jennifer Sutton, and she is a 3-time founder and a 4-time mom. Jennifer is an accomplished marketing and advertising expert who has dedicated her entire career to helping businesses grow and thrive. And after 2 decades of working in large advertising agencies, she had decided to take the leap of faith and establish her own marketing and advertising agency in 2013, Bright Marketing, and growing it into a multi-million-dollar venture, a testament to her business acumen. And we're going to talk all about wonderful things in marketing and advertising and even more. But first, it's time for your Marketing Essentials moment, the basics that you need to help you continue to build your brand and your bottom line. Today's topic, I wanted to cover the various different types of advertising and why you should do it and what kinds of circumstances you need to be able to deploy when you are working in a business and you want to continue to build your brand and your bottom line. So really the purpose of advertising has really 3 primary objectives: to inform, to persuade, and to remind. Informative advertising really creates the awareness of the brand. People may not even know about your brand, so you're going to inform them. You're going to educate them about your product or your service or your ideas and what it is that you can do if you're a nonprofit. You're going to inform people that you even exist and how and who you serve. It announces new products and programs, or maybe there's an open house or something that you're going to educate people about, the attributes and the benefits and what differentiates you from other providers or other competitors out there, what kinds of things you've established in your business and why. Persuasive advertising really tries to convince your customer that your services or products are the best, or that they solve the need that they may have. They may not even know that they have a need or that they even have a problem until you've educated them and informed them. And now you need to persuade them into wanting to purchase from you. And it also can help with understanding the perceptions about your brand and enhance the image of the company or your product. And of course, persuading people to then continue to be loyal fans of your brand. And really the goal is to influence your customers to take action. And maybe it's switching from another brand or trying a new product or, again, remaining loyal to your current brand. What is it that you're going to continuously do to persuade people to want to continue to buy from you? And then, of course, reminder advertising, right? We're going to remind people about the need for the product or service on an ongoing basis. Ideally, if that's you're set up for that, or unless you're a one and done kind of business, but you're going to remind people about the features and the benefits and maybe the events that you're promoting or putting on, or if you're doing educational events or different ways to continuously remind people about your brand, right? Maybe they haven't purchased from you yet. Maybe now they're aware. Maybe they need to be persuaded just a little bit more, or reminded if they already have purchased from you. And thinking about how you can create top of mind awareness in your advertising. And then think about calls to action. Call to action is telling people to do something that you want them to do as a result of having listened or seen your advertisement. And whether it's, a billboard or a bus bench, or we call them P posters when you're in the bathroom and you see a poster on the wall when you're going to the restroom, right? Great 30 seconds or more time to share in whatever it is that you're wanting to promote. And there's so many different ways to advertise, but it's also finding the right ways at the right time to the right audience that you want to serve most, and how you're going to continuously be able to build that reach and frequency, right? Sometimes people need to see or hear your brand I think the new numbers are anywhere between 15 to 17 times before they even recognize that they've even heard of your brand before. If it's especially not if it's word of mouth advertising. Word of mouth advertising can really help accelerate the option to where they go through the funnel and buy and convert, right? But if you aren't getting that word of mouth advertising as a part of your plan and strategy, then you really have to work in other ways to get that brain space that your ideal soulmate customer needs to see and hear over and over again until they actually will act on it and perform the call to action that you want them to do. So really, it's just a combination of top of mind awareness. It's being at the right place at the right time, absorbing that message when they need it. It's got to be the right message. It's got to be the right, tools and tactics to get them to understand, to have that persuasive mindset of being open to those ideas that you can do. So thinking about maybe some of the advantages and disadvantages of advertising, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in our next Marketing Essentials moment. So stay tuned, listen to the interview, and then come back and we will talk more about the advantages and some disadvantages of advertising. Welcome to the Marketing Expedition podcast. I'm your host, Ray Allen. I'm the president and CEO of Peppershock Media and the founder of the Marketing Expedition community. And today's guest, we have Jennifer Sutton. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you, Ray. Love being here.
Excellent. So Jennifer, let's just start off with giving people a little more than what your bio tells us about you. How did you get to where you are now? What were some of the journeys and paths that you took to get here now?
Yeah. So I'm probably an unusual person that I'm actually doing what I went to school for. I call myself a serial agency person. I have spent my entire career of marketing and advertising on the agency side of the business. I literally got my degree in communications and research design, and walked into an agency at a school and went into the media department. Because back in the day, that's how you learned. When
Yeah.
you entered a large agency, they stuck you in media
Right.
to learn all the terms, the definitions, how to read the analytics and the data and the insights of media consumption behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And I've spent 30 years in I would call the media space.
Mm-hmm.
As I grew in the agency world, of course, you kind of evolve and grow and get promoted. I went from, being a media coordinator to then being a planner buyer to then running a department. I started then running media and research departments, then became more of an account planner in a large agency, and then went from account planner to really being more of a brand strategist, and leading significant global clients. And I then in 2013 got tired of the traditional agency model coming out of I'm gonna date myself, but coming out of the 2008 recession.
Right.
And when stuff started to get healthy again, you know, clients would come to then the agency I worked for, and we were, full service marketing and, doing ad campaigns. But our clients were like, "Hey, my ad budget used to be 10 million. Now that it's back, I have now 2 million, but now as the CMO, I'm responsible for not that that 2 million needs to cover advertising. Also, I'm now responsible for the sales force
Mm-hmm.
and CRM. And now I'm also responsible for web and digital and any of the infrastructure. So, trade shows, events. Now you tell me, where should I prioritize the dollars?
Mm.
So a lot of traditional agencies just weren't set up to to support the CMOs and the businesses coming out of the recession. I realized that I had a gift of dot connecting and really understanding how to uncover insights, like truly using data, not just be like, yeah, I knew that, but like finding data that's a real insight, the aha,
Yeah.
and feeding the creative team so that they're delivering better work. and then organizing more of an ecosystem that's fully integrated. And I realized that was really rare. And that's when I was like, you know what? I could step out
Yeah.
and start my own company and structure it the way that it needs to be structured to support and serve this new business community in a much better way. So yeah, so we've been around for a little over 10 years, and that's what we've been doing is helping, still working on a lot of the corporate clients, those big clients that said, you know what, I'm getting better value here. I still get big agency thinking, but more of in a boutique and way better service value. And but then we're also helping a lot of, I would say, regional, small business franchises, startups, scale ups, where they need kind of that big agency thinking, but they just don't have the budget. So we can do things much more efficient and agile for them.
And that's where Bright Marketing began.
That is where we are. Yeah. 10 years, going on 11 years strong. Yeah.
So, okay, think back when you first started then,
Yep.
and you took that leap of faith of jumping into your own business.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What were some of your first clients and maybe some
Yeah.
success stories? Kind of what was that feeling like for you?
So it was interesting because I it was so like when I ended up deciding, do I start the agency, that wasn't the initial kind of plan, I should say. When I it, you know I call myself a serendipitous entrepreneur.
I love that.
Like my journey is more serendipitous.
Oh,
Of I never thought I would start my own company, or I thought I would be a great, you know, uh, brand leader helping grow. And I love the agencies that I worked for and felt like I was a really key leader in the growth of those agencies and one of the top billers. And I loved it. But as like I said, the landscape changed. We were not serving our clients, and I fielded in the role that I had. I was fielding all the customer satisfaction surveys, so I was seeing direct feedback. I was taking the phone calls of clients going, "Ugh, I think we're going to look elsewhere. Like we're not, you know,
yeah.
it's we're not getting served the way that we need to be served."
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, I would go to our leaders and go, okay, we've got to address this, or we're not gonna scale if I'm the only brand strategist, the only
Mhm.
account planner. Like we are not gonna survive. Um, we need to totally restructure how we operate, and they weren't willing to do that. Within the week of those conversations of leadership, I was also feeling just more like family pressure. I had 4 kids. My
Mhm.
youngest were 1 and 3, and then I had a 9 and 11. Um,
Mhm.
and I was traveling 10, 15 days a month out of the year. So I was gone. I was sacrificing a lot,
Yep.
missing a lot of key dates. And so when you have kind of like that, what am I doing? Like,
Right.
like, oh my gosh, I'm working 90 hours a week. I'm absent 2 weeks out of the month. Um, and the organization isn't serving the business community, not serving the clients.
Mhm.
And I've got to take the heat. Like I feel accountable and responsible for those businesses not being able to meet their goals. When all that is like happening all at once, and then I get a text from a previous client that had moved on and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about going out on your own?
Yeah.
I need your help." And I was like, "Okay, well that's kind of freaky because I'd never thought of it, thought
Uh-huh.
of that." And then another 48 hours went by, and it was an ex employee of that agency that had moved on to be a CMO at a company. And she texted and she was like, "Hey, would you ever consider going out on your own? I don't want to hire the agency. I really need you for your specific, like, can I just contract with your gifts and your skills?" And so was like, well, that is crazy. I've never thought about that. So I just approached both of them and said, what does that look like? I've
Yeah.
never thought about being a freelancer, contractor. I don't know what like the rates. I don't even know how to like even gauge that. Is it worth it? And they both came back with a proposal to me, and
Nice.
and it was just, and again, this was all like within a week period.
Oh,
Uh,
how wonderful.
and, they came back and it was, whoa, this is, again, I'm working 90 hours a week. This was uh, a combined, between the two, it was like 15 hours a week, but it was 70% of my salary.
Oh my goodness.
And
That's
so,
amazing.
we were like, my husband's like, you need to just, on Monday, you need to put in your notice. Like, we're done.
That's so, oh my
Like,
goodness.
yeah, we were like, we'll figure it out. Like, this, do you want to just pick up other accounts and be freelance? Do I want to take the time, maybe find another agency
Mhm.
that fits me better, that really fits the business community better, and kind of have more mission alignment. They and those were the three. It was like, do I go work for another agency? Do I stay freelance? And or do I go corporate? Because I had been getting, also, hey, would you want to ever go on the corporate side and
Mm-hmm.
be a brand manager? So I'd already won, 25 years in the business. It's like, do I want to explore that? So
Yeah.
I took like the first few months and explored kind of those options. And immediately after a few interviews of being on corporate side, I was like, no,
No.
I can't do the pace. The
Hmm.
pace is too slow for me.
Too slow.
And,
Yep. I've
and
heard that. Uh-huh.
and it's not diverse enough of like campaign ecosystems. Like,
Hmm.
I I need more problems to solve, and at a better speed.
And not just doing the
Agencies
same thing
just,
over and over again for
yeah,
one singular brand, as opposed to having
yeah,
multiple different things to be able to,
in different
yeah, yeah,
markets,
mhm,
yeah,
yeah,
just, and that's what, I just love the diversity of the industries, the audiences, the media
mhm,
mixes that we, could problem solve with. And so, yeah, it was like, that's not for me.
yeah,
Um, and as during this period of, I was also picking up other freelance accounts, but my phone was ringing off the hook from not necessarily potential clients, although that was happening,
yeah,
but it was really from past peers, past creative directors, research designers that I'd worked with, media buyers and planners that I had worked with, account people that I had worked with, who all, because of the recession,
yeah,
a few years prior, they all were let go or their agencies closed.
mhm,
And now you have all these really experienced people in their fragmented silos who are
right,
also trying to grow and going, wait a minute, I'm a creative director, but my clients need more than that,
mm,
or it's a media person going, I don't know brand strategy,
mhm,
or, a research designer that really needs maybe some support in um, expansion on just having another body to do some analysis. So
right,
it was a lot of that. And then I was like, there's an idea here,
yeah,
of what if I can build teams based on the best and brightest in different disciplines, but create the infrastructure, the operations, the brand management, the processes of the infrastructure to keep, you know, so there's no risk from a client perspective of, I don't have to keep repeating myself. There's a red thread. The strategy is there, and
yeah,
somebody else is managing the execution team. So that was where Bright was born. Was we help fuel client growth, and we do that by resetting and establishing better expectations around branding, marketing, and advertising frameworks. So, and we've
So
been
what
doing it.
so what did you do differently than having, obviously worked in agencies previously, what are some of the things that you did that you were making an intentional difference that I am going to do this differently than how, my
Yeah.
previous agencies did? What did you do?
So the couple things of creating teams in a more what we call like an agile
Uh-huh.
functions, so that there it's like hyper collaborative. Making sure that I was brought up under the discipline of brand thinking, strategic thinking in the frameworks of like brand planning versus marketing planning versus advertising planning,
Mhm.
and creating the tools to make sure that our thinking is disciplined,
Mm.
but doing it in a collaborative set. So, which, most agencies were and still are, they function in silos.
Yeah.
And if you consider that from a full service agency, right? In a full service agency, you have departments that are the media department, the PR department, the events department, creative department, digital department, so on. If you're, that's kind of full service, but they sit in silos,
Right.
right?
Right.
You build a media plan and you think the digital team will know, well, we need to have 6 landing pages that are that we now build the funnel to take advantage of what's coming in. Or here, the PR department, do they know what's going on with the paid media so that they are working it so it's like all assets and
Yeah.
all communications is firing at all cylinders to really, and then putting all the frameworks and the KPI so that we're going, it's not vanity, it's not um,
Yeah.
bullcrap metrics. It's actually things that are we're generating. It is generating leads, it is generating conversions, and we're also doing closed loop to make sure that it's like, are we tracking sales cycle, nurturing to then actual acquisition, and
Yeah.
then customer nurturing for retention.
Right.
So doing it, so we're it's not just an ad campaign that we go, hey, we've built this. We're just out here at the top of the funnel, and here's our impressions and here's our clicks. It is no, 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 no. We're walking all the way through. We want to make sure that we are bridging marketing and sales efforts
Good.
to actually generate the revenue, the wins,
Right.
right? We care about the wins,
So
whatever
instead
they
of
are.
instead of a full service traditional agency, it's a full circle. You get
That's
from start
right.
to finish, and
It's a
and on the
360.
same team. So then, because I absolutely can see the disconnect from one department to the next to the next, and not everybody will always know what's going on the same page unless you have all of that team
Oh,
together in
that's
the
right.
same room in collaboration. Yeah. Good.
And even with, as the agency, I would say our industry has gone fragmented, right?
Yeah.
There's so many like social media boutiques, there's PR, agencies, there's digital, and in digital you could have just an SEO, you could just have a PPC, you could just have, just a media buying company. So our industry has kind of made it very confusing for CEOs, COOs who are trying to figure out, how do I get wins?
Hmm.
Whatever those wins are, the bigger the corporation, obviously, the more different areas of problem solving. Sometimes it's, yeah, we're trying to acquire new customers, but sometimes I might be, no, 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 we have a employee turnover problem because and that's affecting our client retention problem. So how do we, so we're looking at it from, a lot of clients come to us and go, help me figure out, I need more leads, I need more sales, or I need to change behavior, right? Trying to change perception in my category. All right, well, let's figure out. But as we start talking through an advertising planning, media planning and buying,
Hmm.
it ultimately unlocks
Right.
the problem. Like, ooh, you have a brand problem. Like,
Right.
you haven't defined your why or your what. You have just built an entire framework around um, your features and benefits,
Hmm.
but you haven't figured out the reasons people should care
Hmm. Hmm.
about that. So your advertising is wasted. So let's figure out the what and the why, and then we can figure out, like, where do we dial up and dial down in the how in the marketing framework, now we can see your media spend will work so much harder because the other foundational frameworks are fixed.
Very good.
We call it like, all we're trying to do is figure out where the friction is in somebody's company, and smoothing out that
Hmm.
sandpaper, right?
Yeah.
We're removing the friction,
Yeah.
wherever that may lie, and that takes kind of a more of a full service mindset, because I'm not coming in just going, I'm here to solve your social media,
Hmm.
um, and or I'm just not trying to be an SEO. It's like, look, SEO might need to be put on the back burner, that activity, because you have a more critical
Yeah.
action that you've got to take, that's going to take time, money, and resource to solve. We'll get to that, but that's not critical.
Yep, not now
Um,
until we get the whole reason behind the why. And like the Simon Sinek says, people buy from you because of why you do what you do, not
right.
what or how or all the other things, right? And so
And
identifying that's great.
and that's where a lot of I think marketers kind of fail, is in that messaging, right? They
Hmm.
have and whether it's it's the brand, right? It's the why and the what around brand. It's your positioning. It's your, like, finding out what your pain points are, finding out what your customer desires are, and how does your brand create those and solves those problems, um, achieves those desires, and then you can figure out that. Now it's like you go into the how. It's like, how is that going to be conveyed, right? That's the marketing framework. How are we going to convey that to these different segments? How do we
Hmm.
communicate that? How do we convey that to our own people? How do we convey that in our physical presence? How do we convey that on the website? How do we convey those messages into the media? Right. So that's where, understanding that those marketing frameworks and defining the how of that, then it becomes, okay, advertising is the where, right? It's media planning and buying. Where am I going to convey? Where do I need to go to inform, to educate, to inspire, to motivate? Do I need to use the lever of social media to activate? Or
Right.
do I need to use paid media? Do I need to use, an intensive PR and earned media program? Do I need an email campaign? And a lot of times we need a mix of all of those. But it's,
Hmm.
where do I have, as a company, as a business owner, a CEO, where should I be spending the time, money, and resources? It costs money to
Hmm.
hire people. It costs money to outsource. It costs money to advertise. So where do we pull those levers? And a lot of it is, yeah, every one of those have different runways of success. Like a social media organic is going to take a lot longer
Yeah.
to achieve. Like, if you're expecting immediate revenue generation from just building a social community, it takes time. It's not immediate. But paid media, it's more immediate, right? You have much more control over a paid media campaign. Earned media, it's a long runway. You've got to rely on reporters and journalists, and depending on the category you're in, B2B, and trade media, or some of the B2C, consumer media, you're working 6 months out, a year out, to get, those features. So you're not going to get, it's effective, but you're just not going to see immediate results because there's a longer runway. And that's why I say we have to sometimes reset expectations,
Hmm.
because I talk to CEOs every day. They're engineers a lot of times, or they come from sales, and marketing is just foreign, and
Hmm.
how to build systems, and how I call marketing engines and programs or ecosystems. It is a foreign concept for them, but
Yeah.
all they know is like, hey, I need some wins,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um,
We want to increase revenue. How do we do this?
right. Either and it's like, where is that revenue coming from? Is it because I am taking market share, or I'm in a growing market and I'm just going to, I need to grow with the market? Or
Hmm.
is it, you know what? We haven't even nurtured there's so much more share of wallet that we can capture from our current client base. So understanding that, we work with a client that they literally, when we came on board, we were like, we need new clients. I need X number of clients every month. We're like, okay. And then as we started going along, we're like, we're getting leads, conversions, you're getting sales, but I'm looking at your revenues.
Yeah.
I don't understand where we're seeing the numbers are staying like stagnant, flat. Like what is happening? And we uncover they churn at such a rapid pace that they were like contracts were not being renewed as quickly as
Mhm.
we were bringing on new clients.
Wow.
And so we were like, time out,
Retention.
stop the
Retention.
spend. We were
Yeah.
like, stop spending money. Like we can take a pause. We've got to figure out what's your customer, relationship management. Like how are you nurturing these? Do you have a good onboarding? What's your ongoing communication, renewal communication? Like
Mhm.
we've got to stop the churn.
Yeah.
You do that, you close that gap by 15%, you hit your year-end revenue goals, and you haven't spent any money over like additional and media spend.
And it's so
Like,
much easier to retain clients than it is to get new ones every
that's
time. I
right.
mean,
That's
yeah.
right. So that's the kind of thing of like we're looking at it through the lens
Hmm.
of the CEO or the revenue officer. I mean,
Right.
we feel like we're just as accountable and responsible for that win because we know that if we help them grow,
Hmm.
we'll grow alongside them.
Let's talk about that for a second because it
Yeah,
is so important. Retention, I think, I mean, you're right. It's like if your net gain is zero, losing
right.
just as much as you're winning. What are some of the tactics that you helped them with as far as being able to retain? I mean, going through that process with them, if you can think of like maybe a couple of specific examples,
Yeah. Oh
what
my
did you
goodness. Yeah.
do? How did you help them so that they could increase their retention rate as opposed to, losing so many clients?
Yeah. So what we found is they had processes that were broken.
Hmm.
So it was tightening up their internal processes between the sales team handoff to they called it a relationship
Hmm.
manager.
Hmm.
Um, they weren't onboarding, so we had to tighten up the scripts on the onboarding process.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, just in dialing up, like let's manage the expectation. We know from the exits what their pain points were. Well,
Right.
let's manage those expectations or set the right expectations so there's no frustration
Right.
of the questions. Who do they need to reach? Let's also create a nurturing funnel
Hmm.
for clients. So that's like a sequence of emails, right? So it's, you know, we were doing blogs and email communication, but it was just for prospecting. We're like, why are we not communicating to the current customers? Why are they being left out of off the list? And we probably need to just slightly tweak some of the communication of like a newsletter or article so they also see, a deeper perspective into your company, the team. So creating more of a newsletter that makes people feel like they're an extension, just a little bit closer to that brand. So it was a monthly newsletter, and then they probably had 3 to 4 touch points per month that we were reaching out in an email, and then quarterly we had the relationship person go, just pick up the phone, make a phone call, or send and then twice a year we had a survey. And so that we could uncover, like, are you happy, are you satisfied? And
Right.
but the survey had to be delivered, I think, within the first like 60 days or 90 days after the contract was signed, and then we did it at another 6.6 month later. Um, and then we also were like, well, I don't under they also had a process where they, even though contracts were annual,
Hmm.
they were giving an option in their CRM. So it was to give an option of, hey, you're welcome to. This is your 6 month notification. Do you want to renew?
Oh my. Oops.
And I was like, well, that was just, again, it was just a process that was broken. I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
understand. They signed an annual. Why
Right.
are you even
Oh,
notifying or
gee.
giving them that alert?
Yeah, you're giving them an out, an easy out.
Eliminate the alerts.
Yes, agreed.
So it was
Agreed.
like just little things like just asking
Or changing
questions.
the messaging to, hey, it's your sixth
Right.
month. Congratulations, you've made it 6 months with us. How are we
Right.
doing? What are, is there anything we can do better? Or,
That's right.
yeah.
And so we started, and we, implemented after we kind of got those things kind of in place. Then we started looking at, let's do a referral program,
Mm,
and reward and incentivize current clients for, referring new clients. Um, and they were good. Like they were good incentives. So look, like just putting in those customer relationship,
mhm.
the satisfactions were going up, the churn rate, literally. I mean, and so instead of spending tens and $20,000 a month in ad spend for prospecting, we only had to do a minimal. I was like, I think it was like 7,500 a month to maintain,
Right.
to get the new, to keep the pipeline going,
Yeah.
you
That's,
know.
that's
um and
so much better.
so much better. And here's another example. We another client that came in who said, and it's just funny when we start asking like the advertising frameworks
Yeah.
of media planning and buying. We're like, okay, we can predict kind of in who's in market. um on average, it's usually like 5% are people in market, like actively searching for things in somebody's category. But we also work in spaces where somebody's creating. It's a new category, right?
Mhm.
So there is nobody in market searching for that. So we have to do 100% of demand generation type of tactics.
Mhm. Yeah.
But my favorite part is like clients come in like, we've got an 80% close rate and our sales cycle is less than 30 days. And I'm like,
Wow.
sweet. Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, we can, and you need how many leads in your pipeline each week, or, appointment set or whatever. So we just do math because we
Mhm.
know all the data sets for each category and each media tactic. We know what's going to generate what. And so it's just running math, right? It's just
Mhm.
formulas. So
Yeah.
we can back it in and go, but then we start looking at the data after 60 days, 90 days, and we're like, your close rate's actually 8%. And it looks like your sales cycle is looking like it's more like 60 days.
Uh-huh.
And that's what, like, as we started running it even further, it was like, nope, your cycle is on average 90 days. So how do we problem solve for a
Mhm.
couple of things of why is the close rate, like, that's bad. Like if
Right.
you're if you're average in B2B and stuff, it's like 30%, but then there's some like DTC, it's like it should be, it's
Yeah.
60, 70, 80%. But you've got like, whoa, 8% is not good. Um,
And first of all, where's the information coming from to lead him to believe, or them to believe, that they were,
well,
their close rate was 80%? I
well,
mean,
I'll tell you how it happens because this is very common that we find, within a lot of businesses. If
Yeah.
you have a sales force that has a CRM, they are only inserting
Right.
into the CRM what they find is a viable opportunity,
Yeah.
not the full like prospecting, people that
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
actively like raising their hand to go, I want a quote, I
Right.
want a proposal. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, so it's not the full, like, true prospecting pipeline.
Right.
So that was eye opener for
Yeah.
the sales officers and the CEOs who were like, "What? Wait a minute, we've got a process that's broken." But we also, in some of our media mix, we can also listen to the phone calls, and hear how the salespeople are pitching. And that's the other thing. It might just be, it's not necessarily are they inserting it in, but we also find that, ooh, you're There is no playbook. The playbook's broken. The scripts are off.
Right. Right.
How do we? They're just talking features and benefits. They're not telling the why. They're
Mm-hmm.
not talking about the reasons to care
Mm-hmm.
and the messaging around that. So a lot of time we come in and go, let's fix the scripts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's work on the sales playbook. Um, let's tighten that up. And a lot of times we're like, stop spending money. Let's pause the ad campaigns
Right.
and let's focus the agency's time, money, and energy in fixing this. That's what we're going to do for the next 30 days. Rebuild that. And then now we'll turn it back on. Now we can see um, if there's a shift in the data, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shift in the behavior. So, and it's important, again, we want to see the wins. We want to, actually achieve if the CEO or the CEO, whoever we're reporting to, COO or the VP of marketing,
Mm-hmm.
they are usually incentivized, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pressure for them to achieve the wins. And we want to be the type of agency and a service partner that's walking alongside them and not just being, well, here's the ad campaign, here's a report of impressions and clicks, and I'm not going to tell you. And we're an enemy of our own industry, because I feel like our industry just makes it uh, difficult for good marketers to do good work, because we
Sure.
all don't define a lead the same way. We all don't define a conversion the same way.
Mm-hmm.
We've run up against when we come in and take over stuff. We're finding that agencies are defining clicks as leads,
Mm.
or just conversions of
Uh-huh.
appointment setting, but then
Right.
not taking it all the way through and tracking it to go, did it actually um, close? Like,
Yeah.
and
Did you
how
convert
long
it
did
to
it
a sale?
take?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that we're performing all the metrics. So it's marketing and sales actually working together in an advertising framework,
Mm-hmm.
in a full ecosystem. But it's just being an extension of the team and being a really good service provider. And yeah, I think that's kind of what we've done differently
Mm-hmm.
uh, as an agency.
Right.
Because people are like, "You're full service. How do you spread to?" I'm like, but a lot of times our teams are all like our different people in our agency. We're all working on different problems. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Even though you know, our agency retainers might be we're content, we're doing it. The mix changes depending on what the problem we're working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In that month or 6 months, or sometimes like if we're on a 3 year, you know, runway to go, it's going to take a while to hit, but we're going to hit these wins and
Mm-hmm.
these milestones. And
Mm-hmm.
if we're not, then we need to change up the media mix. We need to change up the strategy.
And now a message about our sponsor, Billy Razors. Billy is a female-first shave club and a body brand that's putting an end to the pink tax on razors. So, by spreading the word about the pink tax rebate, no purchases necessary, we both get a $20 credit to spend on Billy Razors and body care. Let's do this. It's really awesome. It comes in the mail. You get it on a subscription basis, and it just comes when you need it, and you can always turn it off when you don't, but you can have it set up to automatically come to you as you need new razors, and they are cost effective and of course not what you're doing when you're paying at the grocery store such a high price on women's razors. So go to peppershock.com/offers and get your Billy razors today. Well, and one of the things that you mentioned that we could discuss today is demystifying why founders and CEOs want and need marketing, yet
Yeah.
have a distaste of marketing. You kind of alluding to it, but let's dig into
Yeah.
that a little bit more because it's so true. Like marketing, it seems like they cut the budget marketing first when really it should be the last thing.
Yeah.
And why such a distaste for what we do?
Well, and that's why I'm like, I think for the last, I don't know, I've been on this bandwagon or soapbox for about 20 years, because we
Yeah.
started to notice 10, 15 years ago, it's like, is marketing as a profession, are we in crisis? Because we there are so many now bad actors in our space who
Mm,
are true, like especially in the, I'll call it in the SEO, PPC, they're just scam artists. They're selling a product. They're using black hat technology, or
mm,
now with AI coming in our space, it's just it's not delivering good work. It's not delivering results. So if you're a small business owner, even if you're a CEO of a $250 million company, um, you're getting frustrated because you don't know the right questions to ask. You just get this like, I know when I can feel it, like something's not right. So I'll give you, and so it puts a bad taste in their mouths, their
mhm.
eyes of agencies don't work. So then they think, okay, well, I'm going to bring somebody in house.
Right.
Well,
Oh,
but
yeah, I've,
then
I've heard that before. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Ooh.
we're gonna and if they are really good at what they do, VP of marketing and sales, because they've come from big companies, they are going to be thinkers, right? They're at a CMO kind of, let's build the strategic framework, but they're not the doers,
Right,
right?
right.
They don't
Execution.
know how to get into social media and manipulate those platforms. They don't know how to build an email sequence and a marketing automation program. They don't know how to go in and do media planning and buying
Mhm.
in a more digital sense, right? With all the tools and technologies that are there.
Well, they don't have like what I've found too in that situation is they're generalists. They know a little bit about every little thing, but they're not
But
really
they know how
great
to manage
at
it,
one thing.
not
Or maybe they're just great at one thing, but not everything else that needs to encompass it. So when you have people with somebody in house versus an agency with specialized
that's right.
qualified experts at each area of focus, right? It drives me crazy when they're like, "Oh, well, we're not going to use your agency anymore. We're just going to have, one person
Right.
in house or
And,
two people in
and
house."
I'll tell you, we see the highest turnover and that's why we don't, when we sell in, we don't even work with we never go in through I'll call it the marketing manager.
Right. Yeah.
CMOs will bring us in
Hmm.
if because it's a company that's either they've had, and they've called it, these are their words of like, hey, look, I know I have C-level people,
Right.
marketing people. I got a graphics person. They're not an art director. They're
Right.
not a creative director. They make our proposals look pretty.
Hmm.
Or look, I got a marketing manager. They're not strategists. They
Right.
don't see big picture.
Mhm.
And I'm basically, yeah, they've got a title of director of marketing, but they're a project manager.
Right.
Basically,
They're just a liaison kind of, but not the thinker, the
they're not the
strategist.
thing.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And,
Yeah.
and it's because that organization thinks of marketing as if they don't have a CMO, like a VP at that level, they
Right.
think of marketing as an admin service of you're there to field the needs of people internally of what they need. You're there to manage the website. You're there to go put out some sales flyers, or
Right.
you're there to like manage social media and and but and I think it's on both sides of the manager gets tired or the owner gets whatever the higher up goes,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing results. Like
Mhm.
I'm spending a lot of money in labor and staff, but I don't see the results I need. And they put pressure on that marketing person, and that marketing person's like, I don't know how to do that.
And they're running ragged because they're trying to do all the things for all the people and
All
having,
the people
so many
internally,
different. Yep.
and they're like, and there's also a mindset, and we see that when we hire people of, hey, look, when you come to our agency and you're managing social, you need to think you're a revenue generator. Like
Right.
they're like, what? I've never I did social media for this company or this company. They never put pressure on me, and I said, how long did you last at that company?
Right.
And
Yep.
they're like, oh, I said, you were let go, or they eliminated your position, or they outsourced it to an agency like ours
Mhm.
because you walked in there with a mindset of, oh, I'm just collecting a paycheck. I'm not utilizing these tools, these communities, these platforms to the advantage of the company.
And that's what I mean. I think if people have the mindset that everyone sells every day in one way or another,
That's
not
right.
necessarily like picking up the phone and doing a cold call, but everyone is in charge of response.
Everybody is business development.
Yes.
Every single person is business development, because if you have, I mean, I even had that conversation with our, financial officer, and he was like, I don't realize, like, you have a circle. You're
Yep.
on LinkedIn.
Influence
Like,
of people and
you
yep.
go you go to events just like anybody else. You're business development.
Yeah.
Like, that's your job.
Everybody
Um,
sells every day in some way or another. You're contributing to being able to be
that's
able
right.
to get new business, but also retain, like we
And
talked about.
retain and
Mhm.
nurture. Like, you need to make sure that you're serving the internal people,
Mhm.
the people that are on the front line. If you're more of a, project coordinator, project manager, you're supporting the team.
Yeah.
You're making sure your briefs and the process is being, maintained, so that we
Right.
are delivering on all full cylinders. But also just look in the mindset of, like, look, you need to ask questions of, if and read the room. If you sense frustration,
Yeah.
what is it? If we're assigned to a marketing, mid-level marketing person, how do we make them become heroes
Mhm.
within that organization? How do we align ourselves to go, how do we eliminate their pain points,
Right. Right.
um,
Absolutely.
and solve the bigger problems, but at the same time let them get credit for it? And we're educating that, because a lot of them think, you're right, they're generalists. They don't know what they don't know, and a lot of times they're scared to ask.
Mhm.
uh, and we're like, no, 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 we come to our office. We're a safe haven. Like, we're a nest. you
Mhm.
can you can vent here. It's okay.
Yeah.
um,
The whole, ask what not you can do for your country, but what your or vice versa, what your country can do for you, or
that's
vice versa, I guess. What ask not what you can do for your company, but what your company can do for you. No, the other way around.
Well, so I'll tell you, like, and here's a typical, interaction that we have with a prospect slash client, right? And
Yeah.
when I said, like, these, CEOs, these are, 25 million, kind of, I call startup scale ups, that are 25 million, that are under pressure to deliver a 25x in
Right.
3 years.
In 3 years or less.
3 years, they got to be 100, they're projected to be 150 million in
Right.
3 years. So it's like, it's an aggressive scale up.
Pressure's on. Yep.
Pressure is on. So one of the CEOs that, I sit on a lot of panels with them. We're out in different, entrepreneur founder spaces.
Yeah.
And he's like, you talk about marketing like nobody else. And he's like, that you kind of like talk the real talk. And I know nothing. He goes, I'm an engineer. I'm a
Right.
and not only that, he's like, I'm a chemical engineer. He said,
Right.
but I've hired these pedigreed people. Like, these people came from big brands, Amgen,
Mhm.
Coke, HP. These were chief sales officers, chief marketing, like VPs of marketing, revenue officers,
Yeah.
product officers in these, like, uh, blue chip
Yep. The
companies.
entitled titles.
And he was like, I'm
All of
spending
it. Yeah.
significant money in salaries. And he goes, in over a year, they haven't closed one since I've hired this
Oh
team for marketing and sales. We've closed no accounts. I've brought on no new business.
my.
He said, should I be worried about that? And I was like,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. Oh
I
my
said, look,
goodness.
I don't know. I was like, I think so. It doesn't feel right. I said, especially when your market, because I know enough about it, because we have other clients in his space. Like, your market is $1 trillion global market.
Hmm.
You have, and I was like, to get to your 25, like, you are, the number should be there. I don't understand. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. But it just, I was like, I started peppering him with questions, and he's like, I don't know the answers to those. And I said, well, So I gave him, I'm like, go ask your team.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he goes through the like, and he comes back and he's like, nobody could answer the like, I'm talking like basics.
Oh,
Um,
goodness.
like basics. And I said, and he goes, I'm just blown away. He goes, I thought I hired correctly. And I said, you know what? The problem is you hire people who had great experience, but they had experience in already established brands and
Right.
companies that engines were already built.
Mm-hmm.
And you had people that had more, what we call in the founder community, we call it a sustainer
Right.
mindset.
Yeah.
Like that's all they know. You need somebody that's, and there's a difference between you need somebody that's beyond just startup because that's just scrappy, right? That is just
Mm-hmm.
like, but you need to scale. So you need somebody that really understands scale up mentality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when they're building your campaign ecosystem, it's built with scalability. So it's not reliant on you to go and pitch. I got to duplicate you. I
Mm-hmm.
got to duplicate the Salesforce 20x,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Or you need a sales officer, a revenue officer that knows how to build a sales structure, sales strategy to deliver in a scalable market, like a rapid
Right.
scalable market. And I said, but that's a different mentality.
That way he can spend his time still being the chemical engineer that he knows and
He's
loves.
going to be a
And
CEO.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's on board. We need him out being, now they're a client that we're
Right.
like, you
Good.
need a fractional team that comes in because we don't even like, just to give you a sense of like, you had a team of 5 people, 5 full-time people at 2,000 hours. That's 10,000 hours a year that they were supposed to be generating business that did not develop into 10,000 hours.
That's a lot.
That resulted in nothing. I was like, we're coming in with, you have a team of 5, sometimes 10 people, depending on the month,
Right.
fractionally working on it for a tenth of what you were paying this
Right.
whole team. But we helped him hire his revenue officer so that it was like, we need somebody that can speak our language
Mm-hmm.
and align with us. Because marketing and sales have to work together. It
Yeah.
is not an us and them. It has to be a bridge. It has to be a closed loop.
Mm-hmm.
They can't do their job without us, and we can't do the job truly to create the wins without them and their input.
Yeah.
Um, and we've got a 3-year, very purposeful and intentional plan
Good.
um, that we've mapped out, and it's so. I mean, it's like, I don't know. That's just a crazy example, but it's like,
Yeah. No, that's good.
even from that level, it's like you gotta. And I don't know if you've had that experience. I mean, even when I scaled up as an agency, I made the mistake of hiring sustainer personalities when I needed to scale up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was like, dude, I know how you feel. Like when you spend that money and you think, God, I've got these people are pedigreed,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't know how to build the infrastructure.
Right.
Um,
It's
and
really
that's
important to keep that in mind for sure as you want to scale and grow the company, and having the right people in place, the right agency in place that can do the things that need to get done and follow through, and all the way from start to finish. I
that's
love
right.
it.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, tell us how you people can get in touch with you, and kind of any last parting words you'd like to share with our audience. I can't believe we've already been
I
talking
know.
so
I was like,
long. This was
and
so
I can
good.
chat forever. I love media. So,
Yeah,
um, no, but you can connect me. I'm active on Twitter. My handle is JJ or X. Sorry,
I
I'm
know.
old. It's gonna be a while before I change.
Formerly known as Twitter, yes.
But yeah, my handle is at JJ Media Maven, and I talk all things like really more, branding, marketing, but a lot of media geekiness and media arts and stuff. And then I'm active on LinkedIn. All my ways to connect is on there, or you can go to our website, and that's gobrightnow.com. Um, and happy to. I offer if anybody's out there, but I do offer a 1 hour just complimentary strategy session that, hey, bring me your problem. Let's talk about it. Let's see what we can uncover. Um, because I probably can ask some really strategic questions. And if you're ever, if you're just feeling, I know in my gut something's wrong, but I have no idea what it is, call me, set up an appointment, and let's troubleshoot.
I love it. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I really appreciate you telling and sharing the stories and bringing up such valid and important points that people need to hear and know about. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Thanks for having me on, Ray.
Absolutely. And for those of you listening, the best thing that you can do for both Jennifer and I is share this with others that you know that need to hear what she had to say today. And the other thing that you can do for us is give us a review. Those are always gold, right, Jennifer?
That's right. We love those.
That's right. And until next time, everybody, enjoy your marketing journey.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Expedition podcast. Want to continue the journey? Don't miss out on new episodes. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Wouldn't it be great if there was one place you can go to get all the latest information and tips about marketing and advertising? The Marketing Expedition community is that place. People like you gather in our online community to build relationships with others and find the latest marketing trends, tactics, tools, and technology. We help you build your brand and your bottom line. Start your adventure today. Visit themarketingexpedition.com to find out more.